Initiating broadcast signal in
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ladies, gentlemen, and knights of the Nerd World Order, this is the Nerd World Order broadcast. I'm the man that you call Dukes, and to my right, it's all about the...
Booyah, what's up? It's your boy Joe, baby.
And to my other right, we had to travel. First, we went to Dagobah. He wasn't there. Then we went to Tatooine. And the people in Tatooine told us you have to go to the most dangerous part of the galaxy. Coming straight out of Hemet, Dan the Man DeLorean. Welcome back, Dan.
This is the way.
Yes, it is, dude. So I'm happy to be back podcasting. Dude, I'm so happy to have you back, Danny, because I feel like if you're gonna have a Star Wars episode, we need Danny. So thank you very much for coming on, bro.
Always a pleasure, guys.
So Danny, because I always forget this part. Before we start off, do you have any social media shout outs, anything like that you want to have people follow you on, anything like that?
Nothing in particular. Mostly keeping busy with school and coaching these days, and enjoying that stuff. But on the social media front, just sparingly.
Nice. Okay, dude. Okay, I got you. So, in case you have not figured this out, people listening at home, ladies, gentlemen, and knights of the Nerd World Order, we are going to be talking about something related to Star Wars. Now, let me tell you, when I watched this show, I was like, man, this is good. And I know Dan watched the show, and he was like, man, this is good. But then, Joe watched the show, right? And I'm going to tell you right now, okay, I was surprised with Joe's feedback, because Joe, he'll let you know if something's crap. We are going to be talking about Darth Maul. I know nothing about Darth Maul. These two gentlemen know Star Wars, almost said Star Trek, Star Wars far better than I could ever hope to. So I'm probably just going to sit back a lot and go, yeah, man. And these gentlemen are just going to educate you for the next 29 plus minutes of our lives. So I'll just start it off. My initial thoughts going into watching the show was like, I got nothing else to watch, and that's why I watched it. I feel like at this point, Star Wars is like, I'm not expecting much. What do you guys think going into this show?
Well, if you only know Darth Maul from Phantom Menace, this was still worth your time. But if you have a little more of the context of Clone Wars and Rebels, like Joe and I have watched, both of us, and you know they brought him back, you know they built him up, you built his character up more, and really developed him more that way. And so that gave you that much more to look forward to with this. And so I was really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't even remember. Did it come out all at one time, or was it like
it was a series, not at once.
So okay, well then I'm glad I waited because I was able to binge watch it. So I think I watched like the first 2 episodes, and then when I went to binge it, the rest of it was already out. So it was kind of dope because it's just like 25-minute episodes. So it's like watching an anime. So I'm just binge watching it, and it was good, man. I enjoyed it.
Nice. Now let me tell you something. Okay, the fact that Joe liked this show, I was blown away, dude, because I feel like Joe goes into things, he'll give it a chance, but like I said, he's going to let you know if the show is trash. I got a lot of questions. There's a lot of things I didn't understand, and this is going to be let me start off by saying the show's great, but there was so much I didn't understand. So from your for both of you guys, okay, for me, as a complete outsider, only, like Danny said, I've only seen Phantom Menace, right? I saw some of the Clone Wars, but I ain't got time to watch no cartoons. So, as someone coming from the outside, I really enjoyed the show and I understood enough to fill in the blanks. But from you guys, having watched all of the really important parts of the Darth Maul saga, did you feel like it was kind of one of those things where, like, now he's finally getting the treatment he deserves?
Well, yeah. I mean, I really like the way well, again, Dave Filoni's the guy. He's the one that's been connecting dots, filling plot holes, and giving a character like Darth Maul the storyline that he deserved, because he really felt like such a wasted character in Phantom Menace. You had the build up, the look, the presence, but to waste him at the end of that movie, it just really was disappointing. But to bring him back the way they did in Clone Wars, and the thing that I really give him credit for is to avoid the fanboy temptation of making him OP, because he is powerful enough to be a legitimate Sith. He's not an Inquisitor. He's not a Force-sensitive mercenary like Asajj Ventress. He's a Sith. He was an apprentice of Darth Sidious, and so to not make him that OP when you bring him back, as someone like me would have, if I was writing the story, I might have pumped up that power a little bit and made him a little more menacing, all that good stuff. But they resisted that, and they developed his story while leaving him vulnerable, because he was defeated at the end of Phantom Menace by a Padawan. Obi-Wan was not a legit Jedi at that point. And so he was defeated by a Padawan. He's, abandoned by Palpatine. And so he's brought back with the spider legs. His brother finds him, kind of helps him build himself back up. And then, again, Palpatine finds him and his brother, kills his brother, pimp slaps him again, and kind of leaves him by the wayside. So to make him as an underworld character, like among a community that he could control, that he could manipulate, and because he's not that overpowering Sith Lord like Palpatine, like Vader, or even Dooku, he can still overpower these guys, even if he's not stepping up to these bigger guys. And so to have him in that kind of context, and still having that cunning, that intelligence to think his way out of corners at times and build his way back up to, by the end of this series, we see him stepping into that Crimson Dawn setting. Then I thought that was a really good development for him.
Cool. So, Danny, you said a lot, and I was just like, dude, I caught maybe 50% of that. Dude, I'm gonna do this. Okay. I agree with you 100%, Danny. Because here's my thing, right? I kept waiting for him to have those moments where he just wrecked. Like, he wrecked people, right? But he never did that. It was always like, I almost won, I barely won, but it wasn't like he was just going through wrecking people. And I was like, dude, I was disappointed in that, because, I'm trying to fanboy out like you. But as I look at the storytelling and character development, I was like, dude, this is good. It makes you want to see that second season, because it makes you want to see that development. Joe?
Yeah, I mean, Freddie Prinze Jr. is what we call Richard, but not Richard, but a nickname for Richard, which is a dick, right? And the reason why I say this, because, Danny knows where I'm going with this, is the dude wrote, like he voices, doesn't he voice like in Star Wars, I think, or I think Freddie Prinze Jr. he did a voice. Was it?
I think he was Ezra.
The dude in Rebels. He
was Kanan.
Kanan.
Yeah, Kanan.
Yeah.
And so the dude goes on a podcast and he talks about Darth Maul, and he calls every fan a loser because they don't understand the Force, because this guy looks cool, Darth Maul looks cool. Everybody wants him to be this, but he's not, because George Lucas based him on a Greek mythology character named Syphilis. And Syphilis was punished by Zeus, and he's destined to carry a boulder all the way to the top, only to not see it, and it goes right back down to the bottom. And so he's got to go back to the bottom. He picks it up. He does that forever. He said that's Darth Maul. So no matter how much Darth Maul seems like he's going to win, he's going to get close to it, and the boulder's going to go back down again. He's going to start over again. So he basically was saying and then he's talking to Star Wars fans. Stop being a-holes. Do you know your Greek mythology? George Lucas did. He's based all these characters. Like, he thinks like a know-it-all. And those are the dudes we used to beat up and, like, keep talking, I'll punch you in your face, and then you're not a dick no more. So he kind of like ruined it for me in that sense because he's not wrong, I guess. But it's just the way he says it, like he thinks he knows everything. Oh, well, I know George Lucas. That's like saying, I'm not racist because I have a black friend. That's what it's like for me. So it kind of ruined it for me. So therefore, when the Darth Maul came out, I was like, I already know he's not going to win anything. So it kind of like, it almost kind of ruined it for me because, like, even though you watch the Clone Wars, you find out what happens to him. But he made his point. When you understand that he is just Sisyphus, I know I'm pronouncing it wrong. Sisyphus. When you understand that's who he is, no matter how dope and what he does, he's just going to lose, man. And so it's like, it's tough to cheer for someone that it's just going to lose, man. It's almost like being like teams that haven't won anything. Like, you get so close and they're not going to win anymore. But to your point, Alan, the fight scenes, and they made them look so dope. And the underworld thing, that's dope that they did that. And I'm glad that they tapped into, to do more stuff with Darth Maul. And it's very intriguing. And the characters that they had in the season, all the characters are dope. And the brand, and like, what was that guy's name? The Jedi that looks like a lizard. So bad at names. What was his name? I'm so bad at names.
Lizard Jedi, I believe.
Lizard Jedi. See the lizard from it's Master Eco. That's what his name was. Like, and then you had a Padawan. It's just dope. Like, I think they did it right. Where if you look at the Acolytes at the end, dun dun dun, she becomes a Sith, right? Where this one, through the manipulation of Maul, spoilers ahead. In case, like we normally say that, but spoilers ahead, where at the end of the season, it just came out more natural of how she was manipulated, because that's usually what happens, like it happened with Anakin, like the Sith, the head of the Sith, like the number one, is always manipulating and changing the situations to manipulate their mind, thinking of, come to the Sith. And that's what they did to the Padawan. So the way they did that, everything was dope. I like how it all came together.
Oh yeah, I mean, that was great. The way he did the slow play throughout the entire season of kind of seducing her into that apprentice role, the Padawan Devin. And so by the end of it, she only has one choice, and that's to join him.
Question for you guys, because I don't know. So Devin, whose name I wouldn't know if Danny didn't say it about 10 seconds ago, is either her or Master Echo, have they been previously introduced, or are they just brand new?
I hadn't seen them before. Joe?
Okay, cool. I was just wondering, because the thing about this, and we've talked about it with other shows, is you don't have to give everybody like this long origin story, right? So boom, she's there, first episode, she's on the screen, she's going through her thing, and you don't have to know her entire childhood in order to really understand the character and get into it. And I thought that was cool. Same with Master Echo. Like, hey, I'm a generic Jedi Master. I was okay with that. So, for me, just watching the show, I had questions like, well, am I supposed to know this person? But regardless of that, I was able to follow it, and it came together really well, which is a credit to the writing, actually.
Yeah, I mean, Echo's new. Devin, you probably know more about this than I do, Danny. Everyone's thinking it's Darth Talon.
Yeah, could be. I mean,
that was like a someone that was trained under Darth Maul. So they're saying that it could be her because they have the same like red technicals and the same race.
Yeah, and the timeline kind of syncs up that way. Yeah.
So it could be that, or it could be a new character, depending. You don't know yet for sure.
Wow, see, you guys are just like, every so often it's like you guys throw in another language, okay?
Yeah.
So, just knowing that it's like, okay, Darth Talon, I don't know who that is. I think I've seen her before. So now it's like, okay, cool. That gives me something to check out. Let me see what's up with this Darth Talon person. 'Cause I
You
wanna
might not
figure
be
it out.
able to because that was supposed to be the original plan of a trilogy that George Lucas was going to do,
Oh.
which is like, but that was going to be like Maul's apprentice. But see, that never happened. But see, again, you know, because Filoni and Freddie Prince, aka the Diak, are so cool with George Lucas that they know all these little stories and stuff that George Lucas was planning on doing, which is dope because if you look at some of the stuff that Filoni does, he adds stuff that George Lucas was probably going to do later on, but didn't have a chance to. And that's just one of those things. But it's dope how he wrote it in there. I like how he does that. Like Filoni does that a lot. Adds like characters that some people like, and he puts it in there naturally, and it doesn't seem forced.
Well,
My
that's
question,
another. But that's another good thing about what he's done with Maul in bringing him back and developing his character that way and putting him in the underworld rather than interfering or interacting too much with Jedis, because he's technically not part of the canon of the movies anymore after he was killed off at the end of Phantom Menace, and so his presence has to be more subtle and in between the lines and not as obvious. Because then, if you're watching Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith, then you're like, okay, well, you know, where does this fit into that? And it doesn't really.
I think that I mean, you don't know when you're writing stuff, right? But I think Darth Maul is equivalent to, like, I can't remember, Alan, was that, we always bring it up, the dude that was in Luke Cage, the villain in the first season.
Oh yeah, Cottonmouth.
Cottonmouth was so good and everyone loved him and they killed him off. And then
Mhm.
season 2 was doo-doo. And I think Darth Maul was such a big hit. You know, you killed him off and then you bring him back and everyone goes crazy, right?
So here's where I'm going to throw out a tiny disagreement, okay? But look what they did with Boba Fett. Look how dirty they did my boy.
Hmm.
So I
Well,
agree, bro. 100%.
Boba Fett
Like,
shouldn't have came out when you had Mandalorian. Like, if you really, Mandalorian should have been Boba Fett.
agreed, 100%.
And you could have changed the time zone to where that whole season leads up to, you know, episode 4 or whatever you wanted to do. But that's what I think it should. Boba Fett should have been Mandalorian.
Well, my understanding was that originally it was supposed to be a bounty hunters movie or series, which I think would have been better, because the best thing about Boba Fett was the mystery around him, about his character. You don't know a whole lot about him, and by fleshing him out that much more, it didn't do any favors for that. And that series ended up being really disappointing.
Yeah, but you know, another one. Seeing how he's not here, I gotta give him a little shout out. Wolverine, man. Wolverine was the same thing. Wolverine was so dope. We didn't know anything about him. No Weapon X. You know, he's just a mystery. Amnesia, couldn't remember anything. And then, you know, Weapon X came out, and I was like, "What's this, dude?" It's the same thing as Boba Fett. You know.
Yeah, sometimes the less you know is the better. That mystery lets your mind go out in those different directions as to where he might have come from, who he might have been trained by, and all that good stuff. But
and sometimes that works, and sometimes it don't. AKA the Matrix.
So, let me say this. I feel like the mystery for me, I was like, okay, is Darth Maul like kind of like the equivalent of Grey Jedi, where he's like, yeah, he's bad, but he's kind of bad for a good reason. See, I was wondering through the entire episode, like, okay, what's his big picture? What's his game plan? Because, yes, we know that he is acting for his best interest, but I also felt like he wanted Devin to move to the dark side, not for his ego, but because he saw she needed to become stronger. So for me, like, that whole mystery where I was like, dude, I don't know what's going on, it kept me intrigued through like the whole show.
Yeah, there is no Grey Jedi, bro. I'm gonna have to send you that Freddie Prinze Jr. video, bro, because he talks about people who think there's Grey Jedis. Bro, you need to watch that. He says there is no Grey Jedi, and Daddy knows what I'm talking about. So he feels it's like the balance. He talks about the balance of the Force, the dark side and the light side. There's certain balances, and there's no middle, there's no gray, and he hates people like us who think there's Grey Jedis.
So let me say this, okay?
Hey, Danny, you know what I'm talking about, dude. See, Danny knows.
Yeah,
he's seen it.
Yeah. And for people to talk that definitively about it, it really, I mean, you're talking fictional characters, you know, and again, premises that, you know, are kind of up in the air, because at a certain point, the Jedi Council, you know, after Order 66 was totally disbanded. So, you know, are they all still light side? Are there,
Mhm.
dark ones that maybe were disenchanted with the Sith and whatever things like that? There's bound to be that the gray Jedi, the ones that
Oh
are kind of
no,
in the middle.
he says no because he knows from George Lucas himself.
So
Yeah,
here's
but
here's my thing about that. I feel like Gray Jedi is more of a fan created thing, but I
Mm.
think that when you talk about like a Mace Windu or an Ahsoka, I feel like if we were going to define a Gray Jedi, it's someone who is trained in the way of the traditional
Mhm.
Jedi, but like Joe says all the time, Jedi rules don't make much sense, right? And they realize that, so they move to the other side. You know how there's those Sith with the orange blades instead of the red blades? It's kind of like the same thing. It's like both sides of the coin, where it's like, okay, I understand the premise, but I also know everything about it is not correct. So if Freddie Prinze Jr. wants to pull out his thesaurus and say, it's not correct, you know what, bro? You know
Mhm.
what, bro? I don't care who you know, bro. Okay? I know Danny and I know Joe, and that's all that matters. That's all I care about with
yeah,
Freddie
but
Prinze
digressing
Jr.
back to the character of Maul, though, he's essentially the tormented soul.
Mhm.
So
Hmm.
he was trained as a Sith, he was abandoned, but he still kind of has that mentality of wanting the apprentice to have that rule of two situation because it seems like his end game is eventually to destroy Palpatine. He feels betrayed, or even by the end of Rebels is to find Obi-Wan. He wants revenge. So it's pretty personally driven, but he's still kind of using a little bit of those Sith principles that he was trained with to
Nice.
help his own situation along.
Mhm. He knows he can't win. You know what I like too is when they said, "Oh, Darth Maul could have beat Vader." Now don't
Oh,
and
that
when
was
you
a great and
okay,
that was a great
what
battle
they've
to
been
illustrate
doing good
that
with Darth
just that.
Vader is when things get quiet and you just hear
Oh, I popped for
and he
that.
just
I
comes
popped.
out like all dope, dude. But like he was any argument that Darth Maul could ever beat Vader, bro, like you're wrong, bro. You can't. I don't even think he would be able to beat Anakin. And he definitely can't beat Vader. And if for anyone that says, like, yeah, Maul has mechanical legs, well, Vader's on machine too, man. So it's, he couldn't even do anything with Vader, man. That's
Oh yeah.
crazy.
And again, like that's where these extended canon, the series Kenobi, as flawed as that was, it showed how powerful Vader can be,
Mhm.
stopping a spaceship with the Force. The
Yeah.
battles that he had with Obi-Wan, like he is legit one of the most powerful Jedi ever.
Mhm.
But for the fact that he is so physically compromised that that's where Palpatine has that power over him, and it does illustrate how powerful Palpatine is. That's Vader's master that he's obedient to and he
Mhm.
doesn't question. So, but yeah, to Maul, power wise, force wise,
Mhm.
skill wise,
He's still
he's
dope, dude.
not. He's dope, but he's not
Yeah.
on that level.
Yeah. Yeah. He's
And
dope.
he was even getting bested by the Inquisitors. He
Yeah.
tried to surrender. He tried to
Mhm.
surrender, and they refused to surrender.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Well,
he's
like the
he's
guy, the
that clone of
Inquisitor's got to be dope though, just because of
oh,
Vader.
yeah.
I mean, Vader
But
trained him.
the one and the Inquisitors that they used, the first brother,
Hmm.
uh, I can't remember his name, and then 11th brother, the Crow. Oh
Hmm.
man, those guys were bad.
Yeah,
Those guys were bad.
I would love to see a Vader series where he goes out and finds his Inquisitors and trains himself. I'd like to see that. Like, I hope they do that down the line where they just make a Vader series where he shows him going out killing Jedi and finding younger Inquisitors. Yeah, it's just dope, dude. Because they're Inquisitors, bro. They're not even really Sith, bro. Like because the Sith is like they always have like the main one and then the apprentice, and then eventually they train the apprentice if to kill the master. If you can't kill the master, then they find another one. That's like their whole thing. But for
The
him to
Inquisitors are
have,
they're like JV Sith.
yeah, but they're still dope though, dude. They always have
Oh
that
yeah,
same double blade.
definitely.
But uh I wonder why. I would like to know why he wanted to do that. No apprentice, but Inquisitors.
So totally, like I said, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I kind of feel that that plays into the whole idea of like Anakin slash Darth Vader, which is that he's not going to follow the tradition because the tradition doesn't make sense. So to Joe's point, like this is how it's always been, and he's like, but why? And so he goes off on this other path. And I just think that's really cool because it's like it fits the character. It's thought
Mhm.
out. Like the things you guys are describing, like, oh, well, his end game is this. That's thought out. And I feel
Mhm.
like it's just like, wow, wow. Like when you guys talk about this stuff, I'm like, dude, this is, as much as I enjoyed it, there's layers that I
Mhm.
don't even understand. That's so
I
cool.
mean, the copper and his kid was dope. His son wasn't annoying, right? And then you had
Yeah,
like the android too. We're like, we got to follow regulations, and then it's kind of, if you think about it, it's kind of
two
cool that
boots.
that the android at the end goes, maybe this isn't right. You know what I mean? And that's the guy that thinks logically, like, but you do the numbers thing, and then you realize like, the numbers just ain't adding up. So maybe let me help, my partner out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And
by the end, he was giving off vibes of K2SO from Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of like
mm,
that droid character with
yeah,
a little more personality and a little more going
mhm.
with the flow.
Yeah.
And then that little mobster guy, I don't know his name. I'm so bad at names, dude. Little green little
Mario,
dude. Yeah, he was dope too. You know what I mean? Every character was dope. What do you guys think? I think every time they do something live action, it's never really that good to me. Like it's always falling off. And I feel like the anime, they do it well and they do it a lot better where they can do more choreographed moves through animation a lot smoother, a lot easier, right? And you can cover, I feel like you can do more of the story within an animation than live action. You know, I would like for them to do more Star Wars series in that and animation as opposed to live action. What do you think?
yeah, that they definitely do it better. And with this, like you were talking about, it doesn't seem like there's any wasted characters. Like in each of the live action series, there always seems to be that one that's just kind of shoehorned in there as like a plot device or
Yeah.
something for the kids or something like that. That just really you could do without it. But in this case, even Vario, who was a little bit cutesy, but like and trying to be the wisecracker guy, but he served a purpose.
Mhm.
He was there for a reason, and he served his purpose. Even the little spy bot guy, okay, he was making his little wisecracks, but he was very purposeful in what they had him and what they were using him for.
Yeah.
So,
Even the Darth Maul like lookalikes.
The twins or
oh
whatever.
yeah,
Twins, yeah. Even when they died, you're like, oh, these guys, because they were kind of dope, dude. Like
Yeah.
one of
oh they
them
were
had two
down. Yeah.
guns, the other guy had like a little Gatling gun, and then like it made you go, dang, they died. You know what I mean? And then like the whole Mandalorian thing, if you and it was dope. I mean, the girl said if you ain't got no money, they don't stick around. It's for the money, right? And then 2 seconds later, they're freaking flying off in the ship and they die. But like his whole crew was just getting decimated, bro. And you're like, dang, you kind of feel bad for him. So you do well as a writer and move along in the story when you start to feel bad for the villains, even though they're bad, right? You're like, dang,
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
kind of sucks, dude. Like his whole crew's getting decimated.
Well, all the way to the end of when he dies in Rebels by Obi-Wan,
Mhm.
he's still that tragic character. Like
Mhm.
we know Palpatine practically tortured him during his training. And, again, he was cut in half and abandoned. His brother was killed right in front of him. His whole crew ends up getting wiped out, while he's trying to, get off this planet. And, by the end with Rebels and he's, trying to, you know, track down Obi-Wan and trying to seduce Ezra to the dark side to help him and all these things, but by the end, but when Obi-Wan finally strikes him down, you do actually kind of feel sorry for him, and you
Yeah.
see Obi-Wan even have that moment of sympathy as he's dying.
Yeah. You kind of almost like if Homeboy would have just became a Jedi for the sole purpose of him just getting his revenge, right? He would have been able to take down Palpatine, right? If he would have just became a Jedi. Because whatever he was doing wasn't working. Or he could have just stayed in the underworld, man. He could have made a killing, man. If he focused on that. But I feel like he's like,
But that was always a means to an end, though.
yeah, it's syphilis. Whatever, how do you say his name? You know what I'm talking about.
Sisyphus.
Sisyphus, yeah.
So I'll say this, guys. Like, a lot of times in a podcast, I'll be like, dude, I like something before, or maybe I didn't like it, but after the conversation and the discussion, I get like really hyped up and really excited. And you guys have so much knowledge, and I absolutely love that. And crazy, you guys, the first time in the history of the podcast, Joe and Danny have agreed on something.
Oh yeah,
Look it up. Look it
Yeah.
up. It's the first time,
yeah,
which is awesome.
yeah.
But but I'll say this, guys. I really appreciate like you guys just coming on. I mean, number one, Danny, thank you for like coming in,
Mhm.
filling in. Alfonso was off breaking boards and stuff.
Mhm.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Alfonso is basically is going to be taking his black belt certification.
Mhm.
I don't know what's a certification, like they give him a little piece of paper or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
bro. So he can wear those little sweats. You think you want to get a roundhouse kick from someone wearing one of these? That's
I
what he
think
wants
he's
to
more
do.
going to come back.
He's gonna
Come
wear it.
through.
He's gonna wear it on 4th of July. Walk around a little American like.
American flag Zubas.
Yeah. Does anybody want to get a roundhouse kick in these?
So Danny, thank you for so much. Perfect episode, but thank you so much for stepping up and
Yeah.
filling in. Very much appreciated, man.
Appreciate the
Now,
invitation.
uh, perfect, bro, because we're gonna have you back very soon for sure. Um, let me say this: we are rounding what we like to call the corner at the end of this episode. So I'll let Joe go first, and then I'll let Danny go first because I feel like if I said anything about blah blah, watch the show, I would just be trying to hear myself talk. So I'll let you guys take us home.
Uh, watch Darth Maul. It's a good series, good story. A lot. It had a lot of good action in there. I do not dislike Freddie Prinze Jr. Just think he's a punk because he's right. It's just the way he said it. You know what I'm saying? He's right about a lot of that stuff, but don't let it sway your decision from not watching this show. This show is really good. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah, totally agree. Again, even if you're only familiar with Maul from Phantom Menace as a standalone series, you don't have to have much background to really enjoy it. But if you do have it, then it really adds more layers and context to the Maul character, and again, gives you a little more appreciation for how well they've been writing him.
And this concludes this episode of the Nerd World Order broadcast. So until next time, ladies, gentlemen, and knights of the Nerd World Order, I am NWO.
We are in WO.
Nerds redefined. Booyah!